Now, I could do an entire 8-hour training on scheduling, how to build a productive schedule. And we don't have 8 hours to sit and listen to me talk on a webinar. So what I wanted to talk about today is a good overview of the importance of scheduling and the parts that we want to make sure you're doing in your office. And if you're not, my team and I are here to help you. So I'll talk about that at the end. But I want to make sure that we're at least on the same page. So let's talk about the schedule. The schedule, I feel, is the most important system in your office. And I'm going to talk about what a system is and why I think it's the most important. I am really big right now on acronyms, easy ways to remember different things we need to do in the office. I just did one on answering the phones, and SMILE is my new acronym. And if you're interested in hearing what that's about, let me know. So when we talk about the schedule, the acronym that I wanted to go through today to make sure we covered the important parts is IMPACTS. And when I say impacts, the reason that the schedule is so important is because it impacts everybody. It impacts the doctor, it impacts the patients, it impacts the hygienist, the assistants, and all of us in the front. It is the most important part of the dental office because, as you know, our schedule makes or breaks our day. You know, getting patients to fill in a last minute hole or having a patient cancel last minute, all of that has an effect on everybody in the practice. And so that's where I've come up with the acronym IMPACT to talk about, because I believe it really does impact everybody in the team. So let's start going through what is important about this. So I always try to talk about taking off our dental hats and putting on our business hats. So when I talk about the schedule or anything, when we talk about what we do in the office, we have to remember why the schedule is important. That schedule is going to help us make or break our daily goal. That schedule is going to help us have a day that runs well. It's going to be what keeps our doctor happy. As you know, doctors don't like cancellations in the schedule. It keeps our hygienist busy. So it is a very vital part of the business, and we need to realize how important it is. So when I say scheduling is a system, I want to talk about what a system is, because I'm going to talk about business language here. This is a definition out of the businessdictionary.com. And think about it for your practice. A system is an organized, purposeful structure that consists of interrelated and interdependent elements. So I'm going to stop right there and talk about that. Organized and purposeful structure. Do you feel that your schedule is organized? Do you feel that your schedule is purposeful? I find many times that dental offices don't feel that way, that we're not proactive with our schedule, we're more reactive. We are shoving patients in where it makes sense. We're double and triple booking our patients because we don't have a scheduling policy, or because we're just trying to make things work, or because we're putting patients in the schedule that we're not really sure they're going to show up. So my suggestion is, by the end of this webinar and with other things I'm going to offer you at the end, to understand that you need to have an organized, purposeful structure when it comes to your schedule. And these elements, as it continues on there, these elements continually influence one another directly or indirectly. Think about this. How does the schedule affect everyone on our team? I mean, if the patients run late, we're stressed in the front because we're not getting the paperwork in time. And then the hygienists are upset with us because we can't get the patient in the chair on time. And then the assistants are upset because the doctor has to go over during a procedure to do the exam at a time that doesn't work well. So the system or the schedule really does influence everyone on the team. So these elements continually influence one another, directly or indirectly, to maintain their activity and the existence of the system in order to achieve the goal of the system. So when you go to business school, this is what you would learn about scheduling. Now, as you've heard me talk in the past, or if you're new with us, I'll just mention, There's not many of us who've been to a dental office management business school. Our doctors were not trained in business. They were not trained how to build a productive schedule. They were trained how to do dentistry. And many of us in the front did not go to a dental management school because they really don't have one that exists. So it's important that we understand that we really need to get a system into our practice in order to make sure that the schedule is running effectively. So when I say this, I'm asking you, is your schedule organized and purposeful? How does this influence one another? You know, how is your schedule influencing what's going on in the practice? And do you actually have a scheduling goal? Because if you don't have a goal, then all you're doing is just putting patients in without an organized system. That's why some days you walk out and you feel like you've been beat up, because we're not scheduling with a goal in mind. We're scheduling with just, reacting, throwing patients in where it makes sense or where we think it makes sense, or 4 or 5 people are in the schedule and we're not all on the same page, so we're scheduling patients differently. Or my favorite is when the doctor comes up and tells us that he or she needs to see a patient for, a half an hour appointment, when everybody really knows that appointment would take an hour. But the doctor tells us to schedule half an hour. And so now we're running behind when we see that patient. Or when the doctor says, put the patient in over lunch. So now nobody gets lunch. That's not a system. That's running your practice reactively and not proactively. So let's break down what I mean by impacts. I'm going to go through each one. I just want to read them through quickly now so you can kind of see where we're going. I want to talk about the importance of the schedule when it comes to the patients and the team. I want to talk about making it a game, because the schedule can be a very stressful part of the day, and I want to make it a game. I want to make it fun. I want to talk about putting primaries in first, adding blocks to your schedule, continually improving your schedule, training everybody that touches your schedule on how to schedule appropriately, and then coming up with a scheduling policy. So by the end of this, I'm going to challenge you guys to not only do the scheduling training in Front Office Rocks if you haven't, but also get together with your team and write a scheduling policy.